Good morning, dear students. Now we see Standard 8 Science Unit 22 Conservation of Plants and Animals. Our planet Earth is filled with so many species of plants and animals. According to the scientists, there are about 70 to 100 lakh species on the Earth. The sum total of all these animals is called biodiversity. Bio means life. Diversity means variety or different. Thus, the biodiversity means variety of life forms on Earth and the essential interdependence of all living things. In this lesson, we will learn about deforestation, endangered species, conservation of plants, animals, wildlife sanctuaries, and national parks. Now we will see about the deforestation. Forests are the important renewable resources. They cover about 30% of the world's land surface. They produce oxygen and maintain the level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. It gives timber, paper, and medicinal plants. It controls water runoff, protects soil, and regulates climate change. Forests destroyed around the world. Destruction of forests to make land available to different uses. Deforestation results in ecological imbalance. Deforestation results in increase in temperature, deficiency in rainfall. And the deforestation results in the extinction of several species of animals and plants also. Now we will see about the causes of deforestation. Deforestation caused by nature and human activities also. Fire and flood are the example for the natural causes. Human causes. Human activity are responsible for agriculture expansion, cattle breeding, illegal logging, mining, oil extraction, dam construction, and infrastructure development. Now we see some of the causes of deforestation. First one is the agricultural expansion. Population growth increase for demand for production. Large trees chopped down or crops and cattle grazing. 40% of forests clean obtain land to for need for agriculture. Urbanization. Increased population necessitates expansion of cities. Expansion of cities, land need to establish house settlement. Requirements of construction of roads, house development, mineral exploitations. Expansion of industries arise due to urbanization. Mining. Mining of coal, diamond, gold require a large amount of forest land. Large number of trees cut down for clear. Waste comes from mining, pollutes the environment and affects the plants. Construction of dams. To provide water supply to the increasing population, large-sized dams are constructed. Hence, a great extent of forest area being cleared. The next one is timber production. Wood is basic need in our life. Wood-based industries, for example, paper, masts, furniture, wood supply. Wood is used in fuel and large number of trees cut down for fuel supply. They do illegal wood cutting and destroy trees. Cyclones. Cyclones destroy trees on massive scale and it affects livelihood of many people who depend on them. Now we'll see about the effect of deforestation. There has been a long history of independence between the man and the forest. Our survival without forests will be very difficult. They supply us the oxygen we need, cause rainfall, and provide so many things needed for our life. But the increase in population has resulted in the destruction of forests. Every year, 1.1 crore hectares of forest has been cut down around the world. In India alone, 10 lakh hectares of forest are destroyed, which has resulted in so many harmful effects. Now we see some of the effects. Extinction of species, loss of species of plants and animals. 80% of world species remain in the tropical rainforest. 50 to 100 species of animals lost. Soil erosion. Trees in the forest protect soil from sun. Trees cut down, soils are exposed to sun's heat. Affect bacteria of organic. The roots of the trees retain the water and the topsoil which gives nutrient to plants. When trees are cut down, soil eroded and the nutrients washed away. Next one is the water cycle. Trees suck the water from the roots and release the water into the atmosphere in the form of vapor during the transpiration. When trees are cut down, the amount of water vapor released decreases and hence there is decrease in rainfall. Next one is the flood. Trees absorb and store a large amount of water with the help of their roots. When the trees are cut down, the flow of water is disrupted and it leads to flooding in some areas. Now we will see about the global warming. Global warming reduces the number of trees, amount of carbon dioxide accumulates in the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide along with water vapor, methane, nitrous oxide and ozone forms greenhouse gases. These gases are the cause for global warming. Part of solar energy is reflected by greenhouse and warmth goes back to the space. Methane, carbon dioxide accumulating in atmosphere trap the heat and increase the temperature. That results like melting of glaciers in the polar regions and affects the polar bears also. Destruction of homeland. Indigenous people live in and depend on forests for their survival. They get their food and many other resources from the forest. Destruction of forests affects their livelihood. I will see the importance of afforestation. Afforestation helps the wild animals and even humans to have shelter and to find their food source. Through afforestation, we can increase the supply of oxygen. Trees planted can increase the water vapor in the atmosphere to get the rainfall. By planting trees, the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere can be reduced and thus the effect of air pollution, greenhouse gases and global warming can be controlled. Afforestation enables us to avoid desertification of land. Reforestation. Reforestation is the natural or international replanting of existing forests that have been destroyed through deforestation. Reforestation may sound similar to afforestation, but both of them are not same. Reforestation is replanting of trees in the land area which had lost its forest cover for some reason. But afforestation is growing forests in an area which originally had no tree cover. Reforestation is an effective strategy to fight global warming. In addition to benefiting the climate, reforestation helps the protecting important species of animals. Reforestation helps to rebuild habitat loss and degradation, which are the leading threats to the health and the endangerment of species. Now we will see about the importance of reforestation. Reforestation improves the quality of air we breathe by reducing carbon dioxide in it. The effects of deforestation can be checked and global warming can be reduced. Deforestation restores habitat loss, degradation and removes the threats to species. Forest restoration can resolve the damage done by soil erosion. Reforestation will revive the watersheds, which are an important aspect of environmental well-being. Reforestation maintains the water cycle of the area as trees absorb moisture through the leaves and roots. Transpiration of trees helps to restore the moisture of the atmosphere and to maintain the temperature in the local environment. Now we'll see about the endangered species. An endangered species is an animal or plant that is considered to be at the risk of extinction. It means that there are only few of them left on the earth and soon they might extinct. It's reported nearly 132 species of plants and animals are critically endangered in India. For example, snow leopard, Bengal tiger, Asiatic lion, purple frog, and Indian giant squirrel are some of the endangered animals in India. Determination of endangerment. When the geographic range of the species is limited, the population of the species is limited, less than 50 adult individuals. The population has decreased or will decrease by more than 80% in 10 years. If the population is less than 250 individuals and is continuously declining at 25% of the past 3 years, there is a high possibility of extinction in the wild. Now we will see some of the causes of endangerment. Loss of habitat, overhunting and poaching, pollution, new habitat, chemicals, diseases, natural calamities. These are some of the causes of endangerment. Now we will see one by one. First one is the loss of habitat. Trees that provide food and shelter to so many species are destroyed due to human intervention. Next one is the overhunting or poaching. Large number of animals are hunted for their horns, skin, teeth, and many of their valuable products. Next one is the pollution. Number of animals are affected by pollution like air pollution and water pollution. In the recent years, more number of animals is affected by waste in the form of plastic also. Next one is the new habitat. Sometimes animals are taken by people to new habitat where they do not naturally live. Some of them may extinct and some may survive. The new ones may also get attacked by the species already living there and cause their extinction. Chemicals. We use pesticides and other chemicals to get rid of damaging insect pests or weeds, but they can also poison desired plants and animals if we do not use them correctly. Diseases. Diseases due to various unknown reasons may affect the animals and make them extinct, and the lost causes natural calamities. Animals may also be destroyed due to the natural disasters like flood and fire. Saving endangered species. We need to take certain measures to protect the endangered species. We will see some of the savings. Some of the animal species are endangered mainly because of hunting and poaching. If it is controlled, there can be significant change in the number of endangered animals. Controlling pollution can have a positive impact on animals, fish, and birds all over the world. When we consume more pollutants are put into the environment. By consuming less, we can protect the ecosystem. Animals often mistake plastic for food, and hence plastic harm and cause endangerment of many species. Limiting the amount of plastic and recycling it can save the endangered species. Pesticides and chemicals which cause damage to environment should be avoided. Planting native trees will provide food to the animals. Government initiatives. In order to preserve plants and animals, government has taken a lot of initiatives and some of acts have also been passed to protect them. For example, Project Tiger is a wildlife conservation project initiated in India in 1972 to protect the Bengal tiger. It was launched on 1st April 1973 and has become one of the most successful wildlife conservation ventures. Apart from this, government has enacted the following acts: Madras Wildlife Act 1873, All India Elephant Preservation Act 1879, the Wild Boar and Animal Protection Act 1912, Bengal Rhinoceros Preservation Act 1932, All India Wildlife Protection Act 1972, Environmental Protection Act 1986. Now we'll see about the Red Data Book. The Red Data Book is the file for recording rare and endangered species of animals, plants and fungi. Even some local subspecies that exist within the territory of the state or country are recorded in the Red Data Books. Red Data Book gives important data for observational studies and monitoring programs on habits and habitats of rare and endangered species. This book is created to identify and protect the species which are about to extinct. This book maintained by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. The Red Data Book contains coded information sheets like black for species which are extinct, red for species that are endangered, and so on. They are arranged according to the extinction risk of many species and subspecies. Now we will see the advantages of the Red Data Book. It helps to evaluate the population of a particular species. The data given in this book can be used to evaluate the species at the global level. The risk of a species becoming globally extinct can be estimated with the help of this book. It provides guidelines for implementing measures for protecting endangered species. Now we will see the disadvantages of the Red Data Book. The information available in the Red Data Book is incomplete. Many extinct species are not updated in this book. The source of book's data has been speculated. This book maintains the complete record of all animals, plants, other species, but it has no information about the microbes. Now we will see about the conservation. According to WWW, there has been 60% of decrease in the size of population of animals, birds, fishes, reptiles and amphibians over the past 40 years. In order to leave something for the future generation, we need to conserve it now. Conservation is the protection, preservation, management of wildlife and natural resources such as forests and water. Conservation of biodiversity helps us to protect, maintain and recover endangered animals and plant species. Conservation are of two types. One is in situ conservation and the other one is ex situ conservation. Now we see the in situ conservation. In situ conservation, it is nothing but the conservation of living resources within the natural ecosystem in which they occur. This is achieved by the protection of natural habitat and maintenance of endangered species in certain protected area such as national park, wildlife or bird sanctuaries and biosphere reserves. In India, there are about 73 national parks, 460 natural sanctuaries and 12 biosphere reserves are there. Now we will see about the national park. National park is an area which is strictly reserved for the betterment of the wildlife. Here the activities like forestry, grazing, or cultivation are not permitted. Even private ownership rights are not allowed in these areas. The national parks cover an area of 100 to 500 square kilometer. In these parks, a single plant or animal species are preserved. Next one is the wildlife sanctuaries. Sanctuary is a protected area which is reserved for the conservation of animals only. Human activities like harvesting of timber, collection of forest products and private ownership rights are allowed here. Controlled interference like tourist activity is also allowed. Biosphere reserves. Biosphere is a protected area where the human population also forms the part of the system. The area of these places will be around 5,000 square kilometers. They conserve the ecosystem, species and the genetic resources. These areas are set up mainly for economic development. Now we see the advantages of the in situ conservation. In this method, species can be adapted to their habitat. Species can interact with each other. Natural habitat is maintained. It is less expensive and easy to manage. Needs of indigenous people are protected. Now we will see the ex situ conservation. Ex situ conservation is the conservation of wildlife outside their habitat. Establishing zoos or botanical gardens, conservation of genes, seedling and tissue culture are some of these strategies. Now we see this one by one. First one is the botanical garden. It is the place where the flowers, fruits and the vegetables are grown. These places provide a healthy and calm environment. Zoological parks. Zoological parks are the areas where the wild animals are conserved. In India, there are about 800 zoological parks are there. Tissue culture, it is the technique of growing plant cells, tissues, organs, seeds or other plant pods in a sterile environment on the nutrient medium. Next one is the seed bank. The seed bank preserves dried seeds by storing them in a variety of low temperature. The largest seed bank in the world is the Millennium Seed Bank in England. Cryobank. It is a technique by which a seed or the embryo is preserved at a very low temperature. It is usually preserved in a liquid nitrogen at 196 degrees Celsius. This is helpful for the conservation of species facing extinction. See the advantages of ex situ conservation. It prevents the decline of the species. Endangered animals can be breeded in these ways. Threatened species are breeded and released in natural environment. It is useful for conducting research and scientist work. Next one is the biomagnification. Biomagnification is the increase in contaminated substances due to the intoxicating environment. The contaminants might be heavy metals such as mercury, arsenic, and pesticides such as polychlorinated biphenyls and DDT. These substances are taken up by the organisms through the food they consume. When the organisms in the higher food chain feed on the organisms in the lower food chain containing these toxins get accumulated in the higher organisms. Now we see the causes of biomagnification. The agricultural pesticide, insecticide, fertilizer and fungicides are very toxic and are released into the soil, river, lakes and seas. These cause health issues in aquatic organisms and humans. Organic contaminants cause adverse impact on the health of humans, animals and wildlife also. Industrial activities release toxic substances which enter into the organism through food chain, leading to biomagnification. Mining activities generate a large amount of sulfide and selenium deposit in water. These toxic substances are absorbed by the aquatic organism in the food chain. Now we see the effect of biomagnification. It has more impact on humans, causing cancer, kidney problems, liver failure, birth defect, respiratory disorders, and heart diseases. It also affects the reproduction and development of marine organisms. The destruction of coral reef affects the lives of many aquatic animals. The chemicals and toxins which are released into the water bodies disrupt the food chain. We will see the animal welfare organization. Animal welfare organizations are the group of people concerned with health, safety, and psychological wellness of animals. They include animal rescue groups, which help animals in distress, and others which help animals suffering from some epidemic. In this section, we will study about the first one is the Blue Cross. Blue Cross is a registered animal welfare charity in the United Kingdom, founded in 1897 as Our Dumb Friends League. The vision of this charity is the every pet will enjoy a healthy life in a happy home. The charity provides support for pet owners who cannot offer private veterinary treatment, help to find homes for unwanted animals, and educate the public in the responsibilities of the animal ownership. Blue Cross provides shelters, rehoming, adoption, animal birth control, maintaining hospitals, and mobile dispensary and ambulance services. We will see the CPCSEA. CPCSEA stands for the Committee for the Purpose of Control and Supervision of Experiment on Animals. It is the statutory committee set up under the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act 1960. It has been functioning since 1991 to ensure that animals are not subjected to unnecessary suffering during the experiment on them. Now we see the objectives of the CPCSEA: to avoid unnecessary pain before or after experiment, to promote the human care of animal used in experiments, to provide guidelines for animal housing, breeding, and maintenance, to promote the human care of animal used in biomedical and behavioral research and testing. Now we see the functions of CPCSEA: approval of animal house facilities, permission for conducting experiment involving usage of animals, action against establishment in case of established violation, registration of establishment conducting animal experimentation or breeding of animal for this purpose. Thank you, students.